Good evening and a very warm welcome to Radio and Television Tonga news package for the hour. Making headlines, Prime Minister Nuku'alofa highlights the transformation of education begins with teachers. Teofilusi Tiweki appointed as the new Minister of Finance, Revenue and Custom, and Prime Minister confirms an embassy and dialysis centre to set up in Tonga. Now Ambafonoto Bola with the stories in detail. The Honourable Prime Minister Nuku'alofa highlighted this morning the transformation of education begins with teachers to cultivate critical thinking, collaboration and creativity among students. Nuku'alofa says this year's theme for Teachers' Day celebrates the critical role of teachers in transforming learners' potential by ensuring to take responsibility for themselves, for others and for the planet. This morning, thousands of government school teachers gathered at the Vuna Wharf, where they marched through the Taufa'aha Road to the Queen Salote Memorial Hall to celebrate World Teachers' Day, although it was marked internationally on the 5th of this month. Every year, the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, allocates a theme to mark this special day every year, with this year's call on transformation of education begins with teachers. It also urges the world to achieve universal basic education by the end of the decade, with 24.4 million primary school teachers needed globally, along with some 44.4 million secondary education teachers. Therefore, the Honourable Prime Minister, who is also the Education Minister, Nuku'alofa, announced there is an urgent need from UNESCO, following the recent Transforming Education Summit, to have the right number of empowered, motivated and qualified teachers and education personnel in the right place with the right skills.
Transforming education is an ever more rapidly changing regional and global context is a must. It is about adopting forward-looking policies and practices, new approaches and governance systems. We must ensure that education and learning are relevant, give the knowledge and skills, but also values to thrive, each in our own context. Tonga's social and cultural being demand engaging the family and all of the community in the processes of education and learning. Tonga is proud to be one of only 4 countries globally who have taken part in leaving no one behind, an assessment used in the latest census. This enabled Tonga to identify gaps in the educational system, and Tonga commits to a comprehensive and prioritized action, including embedding within teachers' training program a rebalancing between the technical aspects of teaching and the social, cultural, and spiritual values and qualities, creating learning and teaching partnership with families and communities in recognition of the complementing role families and communities play in enabling learning and well-being of our children, and scaling up of resources dedicated to inclusive teachers training. Much greater effort is required to align our levels of ambitions with the actual means to finance a future-proof education and learning for all. We must align ambition with actions and available resources. Part of this effort is looking at what we did in the last 15 years and developing a new pathway for education. I am happy to say we did an assessment of the development in the education sectors in the last 15 years, and we now have a draft framework for the next 15 years. Again, we must align ambition with action and available resources.
Nuku'alofa added that part of Tonga's engagement to this year's summit is to increase the capacity responsibility of 3 secondary schools in the kingdom, namely Tonga High School, Vava'u High School and Tonga College, as separate division of the ministry, in order to value the experienced teachers of the ministry to stay within the profession of teaching. As such, these 3 secondary schools will have its own deputy CEO rather than having a principal. Meanwhile, today's service also paid tribute to 17 teachers of the ministry who passed away during the 2022 academic year, 13 of which were retired teachers, while 4 of them passed away during service, namely Olivieta Tangulu, a Senior Education Officer, Sione Tontonu, an Assistant Senior Education Officer, Enesi Vatuvei, a Chief Education Officer, and Alisi Uhilokotui, an Assistant Teacher Diplomat of Tonga High School. Also marked at today's program was the retirement of the ministry's Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Tangina Moimoistin, who has completed her 3-year tenure of serving the government as CEO of Education. However, World Teachers' Day was first observed in 1965 with over 1,200 government school teachers in Tonga and over 1,000 teachers for private and church schools. The Honourable Prime Minister Huakava Meiliku, in his constitutional rights, has appointed one of the senior executives of World Bank, Teofilusi Tiweti, as the new Minister of Finance, Revenue and Custom. Huakava Meiliku announced the appointment of Tiweti to his newly cabinet role during a press conference yesterday. Huakava Meiliku says Tiweti's new role was effective on Monday, the 17th, and he is still on a travel tour leave before he starts office next Monday. Tiweti is well known for his experience in financing and auditing during his time in various inline government ministries of the kingdom. He was the CEO for PASAI, the Pacific Association of Supreme Audit Institution, and most recently he was with the World Bank. It is understood that Tiweti's appointment is under the Prime Minister's constitutional rights to appoint a cabinet minister from outside Parliament to a max of 4. As such, Tiweti joins the Honourable Minister for Foreign Affairs and Tourism, Fekita Moeloa Utoikamanu, as being the 2 cabinet ministers holding a ministerial profile from outside Parliament. Meanwhile, Teofilusi Tiweti takes up the new role, replacing the former Minister of Finance, Revenue and Custom, Tatafu Toma Moeaki, after he was unseated in Parliament, following being convicted in the Supreme Court for bribery during the November 2021 general election. The Ministry of Internal Affairs is supporting the progress of women's empowerment and gender equality in Tonga. Yesterday, the Minister for the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Lord Vaya, officially launched the media awareness campaign aiming to support women in leadership positions in Tonga. Mark Ake takes up this story.
The Minister of Internal Affairs, Lord Vaya, officially launched a media awareness campaign aimed at supporting women in leadership positions in Tonga yesterday. The guest of honor, Lord Vaya, says the aim is to encourage women to join leadership positions not only in government and parliament, but also in their communities, such as town officer and district officer positions and even roles in the church. He says since the 1970s, only 11 women have made it into parliament as legislative members, but there is a need for more women in parliament.
Since the volcanic eruptions of Hunga Tonga and Hunga Hapai, 15th of January 2022, there has been a direct response to re-evaluate the local and international positions of women in roles of leadership and shaping our society. The roles of women in Parliament, district and town offices, public enterprises, public service, church, businesses, and young female leaders are segments in Tongan society that women have earned, fulfilled, established, exploited, dominated, and widely respected. There has been a consistency of high degree of acceptance of women in public enterprises, with businesses and accounting skills demonstrated and widely received. This indicates the determination and success women have forged in a business orientation that has always been predominantly male. The rise of the women ratio in the realms of the church has been very marginal due to a preference for male chaplains. Thus, the women numbers in congregations has been consistently small. Deliberately, women in the Free Wesleyan Church has been kept minimal, except on rare occasions.
He also mentioned that women need to be empowered as their skills and their unique leadership are needed in times of disasters. Lord Vaya said that the role of females and women in Tongan society needs to be trusted, supported, and encouraged. A representative from She Leads Falealea and Youth Parliament, Seini Vaifo'o, during the program advised women in Tonga that the first step to achieve their goals as leaders is through education.
Taking part in this year's She Leads Falealea program, I sat as the Minister for Internal Affairs, and from this educational experience, I not only learned the weight of this role and how critical representative leadership is for our country, but I also learned how important it is. that we each as Tongan citizens do our part and fulfill our duties. To those young women and gentlemen here today, or who may be watching or listening from home, please do not ever self your dream, but draw hope from it to motivate you to take action and steps to making your dream come true.
Meanwhile, 2 video presentations were shown during the program about women and leadership positions, with a focus on women and their roles during emergencies.
And the 7th annual meeting of Oceania Regional Seismic Network (OSNET) was held this week in Nuku'alofa, with discussions underway on regional seismic network and how it can be further strengthened to improve early warning and preparedness in the kingdom. The Pacific Island countries who participated in the meeting includes Fiji, French Polynesia, New Caledonia, Papua New Guinea, Samoa, the Solomon Islands, Tonga and Vanuatu, including representatives from UNESCO and the Pacific Community. Mark Ake again with the detail.
The meeting of the Pacific Tsunami Warning and Mitigation System Working Group 2 Task Team on Seismic Data Sharing in the Southwest Pacific is also being held this week in Tonga. The Pacific Island countries are vulnerable to the impacts of earthquake-related hazards with active volcanoes within their territories or in proximity that will often result in significant socio-economic impacts, including loss of human life. Approximately 30% of global seismicity is observed and 15% of deadly tsunamis are generated in the Southwest Pacific region. The Tonga Ha'apai volcanic eruption in January is a reminder of how devastating the impacts can be, not only for Tonga but to the Pacific Island countries and globally, where the impacts were also experienced. In opening the meeting, the Chief Executive Officer for Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, Rosamond Bing, says the meeting this week provides an opportunity for engagement with partners to share experiences that could ensure better preparedness prior to and during disaster events. She added that it's important that multi-hazard early warning systems work and that relevant parties work together to address the challenges. The chair of the Oceania Regional Seismic Network, or ORSNET, Secretariat Eslin Garaibiti, also made reference to the importance of improving preparedness and the need to strengthen seismic monitoring and detection capability within the region. She said it's critical that the national operational capacity is built through exchange of data, sharing resources, finance and equipment, and exchange of expertise as a region. There will also be learning events post-Tonga eruption and how the region could improve early warning and preparedness. The expected outcome is to strengthen ORSNET's seismic monitoring and detection capability and develop a roadmap with practical measures to address key challenges, including exploring opportunities for greater visibility. UNESCO and the SPC implemented Pacific Resilience Project, or PREP, is funded by the World Bank and supported by ORSNET Secretariat.
And the Honourable Prime Minister has confirmed the construction of the U.S. Embassy in Tonga and a dialysis centre for the Health Ministry. The confirmation of the new Embassy of the United States of America in Tonga and dialysis centre in Nuku'alofa are some of the major outcomes from recent meetings attended by the Honourable Prime Minister in the last few weeks. The Honourable Hoakavameliku made the confirmations during a media press conference yesterday. Alice Tupo takes up this story.
The Honourable Hoakavameliku made the confirmations at yesterday's press conference, which was held at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, following meetings with the senior White House officials in Washington, D.C. last month. Confirmation was received that the proposed embassy is now top priority, with discussions on consular service set up to cater for locals needing visa. Honourable Hoakavameliku says that a team was in Tonga last month for assessment and they will work with the government on their timeline. He also confirmed that following meeting in Salt Lake City with a foundation on the dialysis center plans, a plan is to have an operational center by May 2023. The groundbreaking ceremony is planned for the end of this year, and the government are grateful that this important health service will be available for the public who need it. Having said that educating Tongans on diet will also an important effort to combat diabetes. The Honourable Prime Minister also expressed his appreciation to Tongans in the United States that welcomed him and his delegation. He adds that the Tonga's government wanted to meet Tongans in the U.S. to convey their sincere appreciation for their continuing support to Tonga, especially after the volcanic eruption and tsunami. They also wanted to inform them on the developments in Tonga and how to find out if there are issues that the government can assist with. Reporting for Radio and Television Tonga News, I'm Ali Situpo.
And the quality of the road construction program will be much higher quality after Tonga's Prime Minister Honorable Whakavamiliko received assistance from the government of Japan through the Non-Project Grant Aid, or NBGA. The assistance saw the handing over of 3 distributor trucks, 1 set of spare parts and 27 pieces of spare tires with the aim of promoting Tonga's economic growth for sustainable development. Ali Situpo again with the detail.
This assistance saw the handing over of 3 asphalt distributor trucks, 1 set of spare parts and 27 pieces of spare tires with the aim of promoting Tonga's economic growth for sustainable development. The assistance was handed over by Japan's ambassador to Tonga, His Excellency Munenaka Kinsaku, to the Prime Minister Honorable Whakavamiliko at Whaonelua Convention Centre yesterday. This assistance was signed between Tonga and Japan on the 26th of August 2020. The ceremony was postponed due to the double disasters caused by Tonga Ha'apai eruption and COVID-19 earlier this year. During Munenaka's address, he said that these 3 trucks were provided to promote Tonga's economic growth through road maintenance, work and improvements of Tongan society. He adds that this is the first batch of the assistance, with the second batch scheduled to provide 2 vibratory rollers next year. Munenaka also says that they all agree that roads are basic needs and a very important infrastructure which is necessary to various aspects of our lives, as well as a basis for development. One of the most popular projects by the government of Japan is the road improvement in Tongatapu, which was completed in 1995 and 1996. Meanwhile, Whakavamiliko thanked the government of Japan. He added that the maintenance and reinforcement of diplomatic relations between Tonga and Japan will contribute towards building a more resilient and prosperous Kingdom of Tonga. The total value of this assistance is around $1 million, which is divided into 2 batches. Reporting for Radio and Television Tonga News, I'm Ali Situpo.
That wraps up this evening's news package, but before we part, here's one final look at today's top stories. Prime Minister Whakavamiliko highlights the transformation of education begins with teachers. Teofilusi Tiweti appointed as the new Minister for Finance, Revenue and Custom. And Prime Minister Whakavamiliko confirms an embassy and dialysis centre to set up in Tonga. And that's it for tonight. Thank you for your company. I'm Wahifunatu Pola. Good evening.